Since this podcast was recorded, our guest Ashley has passed the 10-year mark on her weight loss journey, which is nothing short of incredible. That's 1 decade of struggle, 10 years of overcoming, 3,650 days of sticking to the plan, and an extra 3 days due to leap years in 2012, 2016, and 2020 for some extra bragging rights. Over 100 kilos lost and a whole new life gained. There are some really good topics covered here, and something that I went home still thinking about after we recorded is a parent's responsibility in regulating their child's diet. Ashley, your commitment to changing your life has created a world of opportunity for yourself, and it can also be the encouragement to keep going for anyone listening who may be on the same path, or the spark to get back on the path for those who have deviated. Here we go with Miss Osawemze.
You are now tuned into This Korean Life with your hosts, Brian and Nate.
Okay, here we go. Welcome. What are you? This guy's laughing already. Welcome back to another episode of This Korean Life. Today we have Ashley O. I'm not going to butcher your last name. Not even going to try.
Butcher it. Just do it. Come on, just
Asawemze.
Asawemze? That's a good try.
I've only seen it spelled on Facebook. In my notes here say Ashley O. How do you spell it? Or how do you say it?
How do you say it? Osawemze.
Osawemze.
Yeah, easy enough. It's just smooth right off the tongue.
That is a very beautiful name.
Thank you.
Awesome. Ashley, you've been in Ulsan since 2011, 2010?
Oh, no, sir. 2014.
14?
Yes. I came here August of 2014.
When did we do the poker run with you?
That was 2016 or 2015?
Yeah, we didn't start until 2015, so.
Yeah, I think it's 2016.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God. The last decade just blends together. I don't know how Corona's had an effect on that.
Oh, it's all good.
Wild. Listen, even when I met you, you are a completely different person. Mm-hmm. And today we're hoping that you can share your story with us about your weight loss journey.
I just want to say, one, I applaud you and I admire you, your dedication, and you're I don't know if it's a miracle or it's just incredible. The story is amazing. I think you can see it in some of your videos, right? That you're slowly starting to believe, holy shit, this is happening.
Yes.
Wow, like I'm actually doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning it looks like, it's a steep hill to climb.
It was.
But one thing that hasn't changed, I agree you've changed a lot since I've known you, but your confidence and your style and your pizzazz or your that stuff is kind of, I think it's always, even when you were at 368 in the beginning and you say that was fake confidence, I just smiled to make other people happy, but man, I always see you as this vibrant soul that kind of lights up the room. And I think I understand that's a lot of it is show for a lot of people, and especially in the mental health days,
right.
But as long as I've known you here, I mean, I've always seen you as that happy, and I put on your vibrant and always doing something, always moving and shaking and going. And I don't know if I'm going to see the diva today or the hip hop star or the princess or the.
You're making me sound like I have these multiple personalities.
And I think I'm like
Russian roulette, guys.
She's cool. You don't know if you see her at 2:00, she's the teacher, and if you see her at 8:00, she's the hip hop star, and who knows what you're going to see. And I just thought that's awesome. But anyways, I admire the work and the effort you put in, and I think it'd be a great story to tell, other than on just your YouTube channel. So we're glad to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So take us back to Dallas in 2010.
In 2010. Yeah. I'm actually from Arlington. Arlington.
Damn
is
you,
right...
Nate.
No, I say Dallas because people don't really know much about Arlington. I mean, it's still kind of like a large city, but Arlington is situated right between Dallas and Fort Worth. So
it's like the Ulsan of.
It's like when I'm from Thunder Bay and I say Toronto. It's only 1,800 kilometers away.
Right. It's just like everyone knows Dallas. I'll just say I'm from Dallas and just
Did Arlington kill a national hero?
I'm not sure.
Nate's hometown did. Anyways, you can.
In 2010, I had just graduated with my bachelor's degree. I was knocking at 400 pounds. I wasn't happy. I needed to make a change in my life. I was going through, a lot of different things with my mental health, with my physical health. and going through different situations at the time in 2010, and also just trying to figure out my place in the world and figure out my footing, growing as an adult.
One thing that I wanted to ask was before that, you mentioned that you'd struggled with weight since as long as you can remember.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this day, I mean, it's unforgiving. The bullying and stuff is just relentless. It's absolutely crazy. You were 24 then. You're
23.
23 then.
Yeah.
So in your elementary, middle, high school years, did you run into a lot of that?
Oh yes, definitely. Especially when I had moved to Nigeria, I was the overweight, the fat kid, and going to school, everyone else was looked the same, like they were all thin. So kids, when they see someone that's different from them, they're gonna attack that, and I was just constantly teased and bullied and made fun of. And when I moved back to America, that didn't necessarily stop. And at that point, I became very introverted. I wasn't outspoken. I wasn't confident. And when I reached high school, I just kind of made myself invisible. I didn't want people to notice me. I didn't want my voice to be heard because I didn't want people to target my weight. And for me, I learned that the first thing that people will, attack you for is your weight and make fun of you because of your weight. So
Easy target.
yeah, exactly. So it's just, for me, it's just keep your mouth shut, do your schoolwork, keep your head down, make it through high school, and get on with your life.
I didn't know you went to Nigeria. How long were you there for?
I was in Nigeria for about 5 years. My dad's Nigerian.
In Lagos or somewhere else?
Lagos, yeah.
Lagos? That's the second time I've been corrected in 3 weeks on Lagos.
It's okay.
But I think because I was around lots of French West Africans, I was in Ghana for a year and traveled all from Nigeria, everything to the West Coast. But in French, Lagos. So I think that's why I say it like that, because of all the French countries I was in. But my experience there was, I mean, I got super thin when I left West Africa. I was actually skinny for the first time in my life. But my dad's a big dude, and when he came, they thought he was the king of Canada because he was so big.
Right.
And I mean, he's not in Canada. He wasn't that big for Canada, but for Africa, I mean, to be that big, that means you got cash and you're eating.
Yeah, exactly.
You're eating good. And that was, I remember when I got there and they were like, wow, you must be so rich. And I said, why? Because you're fat.
Exactly.
And it wasn't a bad thing. It was like they wanted to be fat because that meant they were rolling in the dough.
Money equals food?
Yeah.
Really?
And I thought, well, people bug me at home and tease me at home. And I'm like, you guys worship me because I'm fat. This is crazy.
But for me, that wasn't my experience.
But I think being kids, it would be different.
Yes.
I mean, I was an adult, and maybe it's seen as you're successful in your adult life and providing, but as a student,
as a
different.
kid, no, it was a different experience for me.
In high school, did you have the feeling of I got to lose weight, or is it more just kind of I'm just gonna endure the hardship and try and get through, and who knows what comes next? When did you get the first feeling of like, oh shit, I should probably do something? Is it always there, or was there a light bulb moment?
I would say that light bulb moment didn't happen until after high school. Honestly, I remember after I had graduated, I was rushed to the hospital because I took an energy drink, and I was having like a complication with my heart, and that really scared me. And my mom took me to the hospital, and we spoke with the doctor, and it was just, I guess, like energy drinks are made to, I guess, accelerate your heart rate. And
I had the same thing. I went to the hospital.
And because of, and they said because of my weight, it just made it seem that much more scary. And the doctor said, for someone so young, you are incredibly heavy, and this isn't healthy. And the doctor basically scared me into saying, like, if you don't do something, you're gonna die, and all these different things. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm gonna try this diet thing and see how that goes. And I did Weight Watchers. I tried the Weight Watchers program, failed. I tried Jenny Craig, failed. I remember when I was even a very young child, my mom had me on Slim Fast diets. That's how long, like
Slim Fast.
No, I'm so serious.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, like when I was a child, like 8, 7 years old, I was on Slim Fast diets. I did like the whole yo-yo dieting, and it just didn't work for me. I did Weight Watchers twice. It just wasn't sticking.
Yeah.
How did you get to that point, like you said, your sisters are slim, they're athletic, they run, they train, and that you've battled the weight ever as long as you can remember. Do you recall, or was there anything that, I mean, were you treated different by your family, or like how did your sisters end up being slim and athletic, and you kept piling on the weight? What happened?
I guess for me it was more of I became like, I'll be like, and I mentioned this in my YouTube videos, you know, this down to food addiction. When I was young, my mom would, you know, give me whatever I wanted to eat at that given point in time. And there necessarily wasn't a cutoff point, you know, and I'm not, you know, putting the blame on my mom or anything like that. But it was more of like, in my mom's perception, it was more if she's eating, she's happy. And, you know, as you get older, if you're not learning about portion control and self-control, you're just eating whatever the hell that you wanted. Oh, can you?
Yeah.
It's
Don't
okay.
fucking swear.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. That made me a little nervous. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
You're fine.
But yeah, it was just more of when it got to the point where I could go into the kitchen and, you know, get whatever I wanted and keep things in my bedroom. I would remember I would hide, you know, Snicker bars, chips. I would come home with like pizzas and have it in my room and eat it in my room. There are moments when I would have dinner and I would still be hungry, and I didn't want my family to look at me like, you really trying to, you know, eat again, even though I know they wouldn't necessarily do that. I would have food in my room waiting for me, so I could go into my room, you know, and eat in private.
But hold on, because I used to hide Snicker bars under my pillow too, and lots of those things. Do you? I know you said, and you're not going to sit here and say it's your mom's fault,
Right.
but when you walk around now and you see a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old kid who is way too big for their size, that's not the kid's fault, right? I mean, they can't control. They're 5 or 6 years old.
Right,
I think
that's
it's
true.
parenting.
Right, that's true. Okay.
Do you hold any animosity or any of those feelings? Like you said, I can't blame
I
them, but
did in high school. I will say, like, I did when I was, you know, my junior year. I'm sorry, when I was in middle school and high school. I will say that, you know, I did hold a little bit of animosity and resentment towards my mom. Like, well, why didn't,
right.
you know,
No one put the brakes on.
right, exactly. And I mean, I feel like that's only natural. Like when you're being bullied and you're in a stressful situation, you know, it's kind of like, well, you sit there and you think, if I was taught this at a young age, then it necessarily wouldn't have gotten this bad. But at some point when you're an adult and you have more control over what goes into your mouth, you have to take that responsibility for yourself.
During adolescence, you have the wherewithal to blame mom for doing it,
Yeah.
but still don't realize that you're in control.
Exactly.
And you can do it, right?
It's like, it's your fault. It's all your fault.
But that's why I asked, because I wonder when you see the young kids who obviously don't pick their dinner or their lunch, and you see Koreans, I mean, at school, their lunches are generally healthy.
Yeah, they are.
At the public schools. When I see, like, and now it's a much younger generation that's becoming these chubby kids.
It's becoming a problem.
I mean,
it is a problem.
When we came to Korea, I mean, there was none of that. And now it's getting, but the diet has changed, the study habits have changed, and this ramyeon and snacking and burgers and everything has cheese now. And it's very, very different. So you can just, guys, why do you want to follow us? We are examples of people trying to get back to your style, and you're,
Right?
you're trying to copy ours. Look at me.
Exactly.
You tell me I'm fat, so you don't want to be me. Stop eating all that stuff. That's how I got fat.
But it's easy for parents just maybe who don't want to put the time in to keep their kid quiet. It's just eat this and you're fine, and you know.
So that's what I mean. And the parenting, I think if it's you say from a young age, okay, well, I'm going to put this where they can't get it, or I'm not going to stop buying this, or I just think I would have so much control over my child's weight. I mean, if my kids have cavities, boom, they're not going to have another piece of candy.
I think what it came down to is, you know, sometimes, and I mean, I don't have kids, but I mean, you both, you know, have children, and, you know, if you see your child going kind of through that chubby phase, you kind of think, well, oh, they're going to grow out of it. And I think that was the mentality that my mom had.
That's the mentality I have right now with Lee.
That's a stretch.
She's got the biggest head, the biggest
Stop.
body. But you
She's
know,
adorable.
But my wife's like, oh, don't encourage her to eat more. And I'm like, Yobo, she's 4. Like, she just eat what she wants. She's not pounding chips or cookies or something. She's eating rice and meat.
See, but growing up for me, there was no like I wasn't allowed to eat anything, and we hated our parents, man. I'd go to school. My buddies had colas and chips, and my parents would pack water, and like, this is a fruit leather. Like, Mom, I'm getting teased. I'm eating this bullshit for lunch. You know, what's going on here? But then, you know, I'm super strict with my kids, and they don't necessarily maybe even realize yet that, I don't know if they're missing out, but when you go to the park and a mom's like, oh, here's some ice creams, here's this. I'm like, it's fucking Tuesday. What the kid, he's not eating ice cream. It's not a special day, you know? And that it causes a conflict with parents, and like, what?
All the time.
And then they're like, well, but my kid's gonna eat it, so why can't yours? And there's real tension there, man, because
but it's like these
weird.
moms carry a full vending machine in their purse.
Everywhere,
like
if
we
you
never
accepted,
had that stuff when we were young.
If you accepted every piece of candy that your kid was given, it would be unreal. They would have no teeth.
No teeth left.
You get on the bus, like, oh, here's some candy. You see this person.
Go to the hospital, candy. Go to the dentist, more candy.
Wow.
So when I'm at the park, like at the Grand Park there by my place, and we go all the time, but every mom's pulling out like Pepperos. I'm like, Peppedo Day is once a year. You don't have to eat those every day. But we usually have like grapes or strawberries or blueberries or something else.
So healthy alternatives.
And I say, Gina, ask your friends, like these random people, if they want some of your blueberries.
I don't want that shit.
What the hell? Like, blueberries are good, man, and they're not cheap. I mean,
They're not.
It's not like I'm giving them, some
Apples.
or sweet potatoes or come
Right,
on, man.
right.
But nobody comes to enjoy our snack time. But my kids go, Daddy, Emo's gonna give me guajas, and I'm like, Emo, okay.
But it is.
Emo's gonna give me chocolates. Emo's gonna.
Yeah.
Why?
But it's not easy as a parent, man, because you see your kids missing out on something. You don't want them to be that.
And it's
that
relentless.
outcast. Yeah.
Right.
It's every day, every time we go, every kid's eating or has a poroto juice. Now, that being said, growing up, I mean, we had 5 kids. So Mom was M&M Meat Shops, and she'd get all the stuff, and lots of our lunches were frozen burritos and pizza pops and microwave pizzas and
mac and cheese.
Now I think, like,
Hot
how did
Pockets.
we turn out like
Mac
pretty
and
good?
cheese.
Like,
Believe this, the first time I ate macaroni and cheese was in high school.
Oh goodness.
Isn't that insane?
Yes.
That's I tell kids in Korea, like, imagine a kid eating ramen for the first time in their life in high school.
Yeah.
Oh.
so
I
think-
missed out. I missed
I
out.
was
I
the
can't.
guy Brian was envying in school with the granola bar, the fruit roll up, we always had some of those goodies in a juice box. And now I think parenting my kids, and I think, juice box? I'm not buying you juice boxes. Those are crazy.
That water's free.
And I'm like, goodies? You don't need goodies. And I think every time we had a quarter, we used to run to the corner store and buy 5-cent Blue Whales or Double Bubbles or whatever. I was like,
Cherry blasters.
but I try to be strict with my kids, but I think I try to be strict because I know where it can go to.
Exactly.
I know the snowball effect that if I don't cut it off now, I can pretend I'm tough and still they can have some stuff. But if I'm not pretending I'm tough, it's a free for all.
And I think it's because you went through that as a young child. And I think for my mom, she never went through that. She's never been obese. She's never been overweight. She's never experienced that. She was in high school and through her young adult years, like before she had me, she was very athletic in all of that. So it's like, as a parent, and I know for me, if I do decide to have children, I know that I'm going to be strict with what they're eating.
Sure.
And we're not going to be a family that, eats junk food and eats processed food and things like that. Like, I'm not going to let that happen.
I'm sending this to everybody I know.
No, I'm serious. I don't want my children to experience and go through what I went through. And losing weight is no difficult feat because you've come a long way, I might add, in your weight loss journey. Yeah. So it's not an easy process.
No.
It's not.
Watching your videos and I'm like, oh, I know that one. You call it a stall.
Yes,
right?
a stall,
Or a
yeah.
plateau, and I'm like,
It's frustrating.
I hate that. You just want to quit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's lifestyle choices, right? And that's
exactly.
what parents and mentors and people are there for, and they got to try and guide you in the right direction.
Right.
So until 2011 or whatever it is, you were going up. You said knocking on 400 pounds. What was the straw that broke the camel's back that made you decide to go for the consultation or look up the surgeries and stuff?
Well, I'm actually going to talk
Red
about...
Red Bull heart attack, no?
No, that wasn't it. That was not it. It took something else to, for me to, proceed with the consultation. And I do talk about this in my next video that I'll be uploading on Saturday.
That's not It's Me Bruh. It's the other one.
On my YouTube channel?
Yeah.
So the
No,
girl says.
So the girl says,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I'll be
okay.
uploading on my YouTube
Yeah.
channel. That's the only one I have for So the Girl Says.
Okay.
It was actually one of my best friends, someone that I loved and connected with. Like, she was like the ultimate best friend. And there was a situation where there was an event going on, and there were people that she knew, and they were all in a room, and they were saying some very mean and hurtful things about me. And they didn't even realize that I was in the room when they were saying these things. And she was joining in on it. It was the most heartbreaking thing to, experience. And even like to this day, like it's making me like teary-eyed, because even to this day, like it still hurts. Like, even though like we're not friends anymore, because that friendship ended the moment that it happened. Just hearing those hurtful things and experiencing that, and them talking to you like you're nothing, talking about you like you're nothing, and not saying anything in your defense. It's kind of like I'm always gonna have this weight thing over my head. That's exactly what it felt like. It's like, and at that moment I realized no matter how nice I am, no matter, how the nice things that I do for people, I'm always going to have this weight situation over my head. And that was the moment that I decided I am going to do something to get this weight off permanently. I'm going to find a tool to get this weight off permanently. And that's when I went for my first consultation to have bariatric surgery.
When you made that decision, did you know the answer was surgery, or did you think that you could do some super diet? You said you yo-yoed, you'd been through all the other ones.
I knew that I could not do another Weight Watchers program. I knew I couldn't do another Atkins. I know that I just couldn't do any more type of dieting, because I felt that wasn't sustainable.
Right.
I needed something that was going to be permanent, and that was going to put me in a position where I was basically forced to comply. I was forced to comply. That
So
was
when
very
you
important to me.
when that switched, you knew I have to go and see what kind of surgeries are available.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was going to get the weight off and keep it off permanently.
Do you think you would have decided to get surgery if she had sat you down, like you said you had a close relationship, if she had told you straight to your face to face, like, hey, you need to lose weight in not a hurtful way? Do you think that would have had a different
I can't answer
a
for you,
different
but I
outcome?
think no.
I honestly can't say.
That's it's something, man. When you, I know. Hold on, I noticed you were huge, man. After
Yeah, these guys don't say anything. Just keep laughing, smiling. living,
20. Oh shit, I can't remember. We had a Sunday We Hope thing at the police, and I looked. I was like, dude. I thought, like, Christ, this guy's getting big. And that was right before your big weight loss, and I thought, like, fuck, should I say something to him? Like, oh, I might get choked, or you might take it the wrong way. And
But
be like,
even when you
know?
do though, it's kind of not serious. It's kind of like in passing, or, hey, dude, you're getting too big. You got to fix something. Yeah. I know that. Everybody knows. Look, everyone knows that. That's easy.
And that's the thing. What also I feel what irritates me about that is when friends say, "Oh, you need to lose weight, or you need to do something about your weight." Like when when
They're
you
not offering
say-
any solutions.
Right. I'm like, are you going to be a part of this
Yeah.
solution?
Are you gonna help train me?
Exactly. Are you going to be a part of this journey? Like, are you in it for the race? Or are you in it for the marathon? Let me know. Because I feel like if you're going to be that friend and say, well, you need to lose weight and I'm going to help you and I'm going to be here for you, you need to make sure that you are committed to helping them get that weight off, not just for a short amount of time, but you are committed through this whole entire process.
You talk about how important your inner circle
Yes,
is in your videos
exactly.
there.
Because it's pretty cheap, pretty easy to say, hey, you got to lose weight.
Exactly.
Oh, thanks. I didn't see you in the mirror today. Like,
And especially if you have friends that don't even pay attention or even understand the struggles that you've had with your weight, that's an entirely different story. Yeah, it's a
So you went in for your first consultations,
Consultation, yeah.
and you mentioned that you had different options. You thought it was going to be either gastric bypass or the sleeve.
Right.
And then when you found out the sleeve was not reversible, that was out of the picture, so it was gastric bypass. And then the consultant gave you a different option.
Yes. And that was the dual dental switch. And with the dual dental switch, that gives you much faster weight loss, and you keep the weight off a lot longer.
So it seems like everybody would choose that option, but how come it's not as common?
Well, it's actually
you said in one video that it had to be your BMI had to be it had to be over a certain amount.
number, right?
And I understand the process is more complicated and it's more expensive. Is that what prevents people from doing it because they just don't have the funds?
Right,
or?
and that also depends if your insurance is going to cover it or not, and how much of it, American healthcare, and how much of it they're going to cover. Luckily for me at the time, being at 23 years old, I was still on my mom's insurance, and she had amazing healthcare.
I was going to ask, how did you, like, I
I
don't
had
know what
to
kind
pay-
of job you were doing, but I was like, man.
No, all I had to pay, because I was working part-time, all I had to pay was $700 for my surgery.
No way.
That's
That
amazing.
was it. $700 to change your life, guys.
Yeah.
And that's the best
Permanently.
American healthcare story I've ever heard. Because,
Right?
excuse me, because when I looked up, I think they said it was around 27,000, and I thought that was cheap. Is that not the whole thing?
I don't know what it, I don't, because it's almost nine years ago when I had this surgery. I don't really remember how much it was in full. All I remember was the amount that I had to pay.
Okay.
That's it.
Because I'm at the nursing college, and we both used to work there, and I was doing one on patients' rooms
Okay.
last week. So I looked up the stats for 2019, and it was the average stay in the hospital was 4 to 5 days, and the average cost was $13,000 in America. Now, I don't know what, but it's not cheap.
No, weight loss surgery is not.
But when not just weight loss, I mean medical, anything in the hospital in America is not cheap.
No, it's not.
I remember playing hockey when we were young. A buddy broke his arm, and we just live across the border, and he went back to Canada to get it fixed and casted, and came back to the States because even with insurance, it would be more in the States. It would be not a realistic amount of money.
Okay.
So 27,000 for, like you say, like a major procedure. I imagine you got to stay in the hospital for a little while. And I thought, I just taught this last week, and like a 3 or 4 day stay was 13,000. 27 sounds pretty good for this kind of life-changing procedure.
Right.
Do you keep up to date with your circle of friends in the bariatric world, or is that...
I keep up with a few. I will say, like, since coming to Korea, it's like the since we're not spending time with each other, because my bariatric circle, we would meet, once or twice a month, to kind of give updates,
Support.
talk, support each other, things like that. But since I, moved to Korea, like the communication is just kind of like slowed down in that regard.
So that was an absolute blessing that you were still on mom's insurance.
Yes. And that was right before they made it like you were 25 and then you had to get off your parents' insurance or something like that, or 24, 25. So I was like right at the cut point. Like it was.
And that's still a major issue today.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the elections and everything. So if mom didn't have insurance, you already committed to life-changing, I'm going to do this. You had the turning point. If mom didn't have the insurance, did you ever think what would have happened or what you would have done?
I haven't thought about that. I mean, if my mom didn't have the insurance, I don't think I would have ever gotten the surgery, to be honest with you.
Because you said in the video that you have to put $150 down for the consultation or something. And that you'd save that money, but now you have to start saving for something else. And I was like, if you're that young and $150 wasn't just, pocket money, then however many tens of thousands for the surgery, I mean, that would sound impossible to have that kind of money.
Right.
So take us through the first parts of the lead up to your surgery.
Okay, so the consultation, like I said, I went in with the mindset of having the gastric bypass, and the doctor told me, well, considering your BMI, your weight, we feel that the duodenal switch would be the best option for you. And they explained to me what the procedure was. They'll cut 70% of my stomach, and they're basically cutting part of my small intestine, and I'm bypassing a large part of my small intestine, so I have like the malabsorption. So basically, like, for you, for example, Brian, if you were to eat something, you're gonna consume all the nutrients from the meal that you're gonna eat.
Yeah.
For me, I'm gonna consume maybe 30% of that.
It's got a longer
20
tube to get absorbed. through
Right.
there, yeah.
So I'm not gonna absorb as much. So that's why I have to take. They mentioned taking the multivitamins lifelong. Like
Yeah.
you don't stop. Like this is something you have to do for the rest of your life.
Sometimes you stop for a few
Oh
months.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it happens.
And then when your hair falls out, you start making
like, oh my god, my skin, my nails. Why does my body hurt? You know, things like that. Yeah. But they explained it, and after that first consultation, they told me what I needed to do. I had to get 3 years of my established weight history. I had to undergo a physical test, a stress test, and I had to undergo, I had to get an EGD done as well. And I, talked with my mom about it. And we, she felt that it was the best option to take. Had the second consultation. That's when I submitted everything for them to give to the insurance company. And it wasn't even a week that I got the phone call saying that it was all approved.
Wow.
I wrote down here that thing, the whole thing progressed really quickly. Like,
Yes, it did.
Like it seemed like from when you decided and made your first video to a month later, like
It's
you
all
were
happening.
You were all in already, and I was like,
Right.
holy shit, that's pretty fast.
Right, and I felt like at that point, like when I saw how things were just so, like how the puzzles were all just coming in together and everything was just transitioning so easily. It's like I felt like this was something that needed to happen, something that I needed to do, and it just emphasized more on why I needed to get this surgery.
It's a good time in life too.
Yeah.
At 23, that's you can
Time
you're
to
kind of
change
you're
course.
getting on your life path, right? You want to go this way or that way.
Right.
So.
I got a question. You said the sleeve was not reversible, so I assume the gastric bypass was, and I don't know about the switch. But what does reversible mean?
Meaning that if there's like an issue, then they can. I don't know I don't know too much about the sleeve because I was really focused on the gastric bypass, and then when they told me about the dual dental switch, but I don't know exactly what that entails of things being reversible, honestly.
That's what I was wondering. Like, if you get down to your goal weight, do they reverse it back to what it was originally, or something, or
No.
or what would be the reason for that?
The main reason that I've seen on like the different like blogs and the different Facebook groups is either because they've lost too much weight and they're still losing weight and it's not stopping. Then that point, that's when they make a decision to reverse it. Because I've seen situations where, like, I've seen posts of people saying that they're really scared. They're down to like 120 pounds and they have like a feeding tube and things like that. Like that's, and that's one of the
Sorry,
scary
your
things.
surgery worked way too well. We gotta reverse
Right,
it. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
No doubt.
So your surgery was scheduled for Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween day.
Can be a scary day, and
No, I took it as like, I think of it as like my second birthday.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my second birthday, and I'm approaching 9 years post-op this month.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
unreal, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to be pounding candy that night, right?
I mean,
You get-
sometimes I mean, okay. So sometimes, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm gonna eat, some M&Ms, and I'm gonna eat half that Snickers bar. But I typically go for like the fun size because those work
not?
well for me.
Why not?
Why
I
not?
like Korea.
No, I
I
mean,
like
yeah.
Korea that has so much fun size.
I like that too.
Even the Coke that comes with your chicken is like
It's like
a half
this,
can or a third can.
Right.
And in America and Canada, we don't have those. Everything's big size.
Monster.
There's no like optional size. Like if you think of, I don't think they have a. Do they have a regular can of pop here? Like they have the
Possibly.
tall, narrow ones.
And they have like they're like
The
really
skinny ones?
ones, yeah.
But now the skinny ones are getting taller. I noticed there's a taller one now. But like they have so many different options of the small snacks or the big size, and at least you have the choice. At home, I felt like it was just always bigger size, bigger size, bigger size.
Everything is just always bigger.
Something that shocked me about after your surgery when they give you the little, it looked like a McDonald's ketchup cup, and they said you got to practice.
Oh, for my last video?
Yeah.
When I told you that, man, that will oh, good lord.
That's crazy.
Thinking about that, yeah, you're literally sipping in ounces and small ounces.
That's you just have
That
to
was your
kind of
life.
retrain your body.
That's
to,
exactly what I had to do. It's like learning how to eat again, like learning how to drink, learning how to sip. It was just relearning at that point.
Wow.
So one thing that I wrote down here was you made a list on one of your videos of 7 things I want to do. I guess that was 7 things you want to do after the surgery or once you had it. I don't remember.
7 things I wanted to do, like once I lost the weight.
Or once I get to it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had on your list ballroom dancing, 5K mud run, a zip line, because there's weight restrictions.
Yeah.
I come into those things all the time. I'm kind of on the barrier, and I think when I'm in these crazy Southeast Asian countries, and it says the limit is 120 kilos, and if I'm 117, I'm like,
I'm not
I
risking
don't
it.
think I want to test if it's actually
Right.
120 or not.
Right.
And I remember bungee jumping in Mexico and stuff. You just, I just go, what's the weight limit on these? if it's not 20, 30 kilos over what I am, I'm not interested.
Okay, listen. Our group of friends here is, we're not the fittest bunch. And when we were at F1, we went to watch this the car racing in Mokpo, I think it was. Mm-hmm. There was a guy with a carnival ride on the back of his Porter pickup truck. It was, we called it the Ball of Hate, but there was you, AJ, Jeffy, Marky. There was 6 or 7 buddies that are between 90 and 120 kilos on this thing.
It was a carny ride on the back of a guy's half-ton truck. A carnival ride.
It was. I don't even know how the ride didn't tip the truck over, but when we all got on it, I went, "Oh, we're probably gonna die here." That was, that.
This will be on the side news of the front page at home.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that was wild. Anyways.
So the other one, belly dancing, photo shoot to show off the new you, a full spa treatment, and traveling. And you mentioned a few different places there in Europe and Canada. How many? Looking back now, and I don't know if you've touched on this in your videos or not, have you ever gone back to here? And how many of these did you do? I mean, the photo shoot, I feel like this is every weekend. You got a photo shoot going on.
Yeah, I love my makeup. Yeah.
Obviously, the traveling you've gotten to. So,
Yeah.
what about the rest of these? Have you done those? Did you reflect on it? Did you?
I haven't done the ballroom dancing yet. I will say the 5K mud run. That's something I did once I was able to complete running like a 5K, and that was maybe almost about 2 years after I had the surgery.
No way.
Yeah, so at that point I became like addicted to 5K mud runs. Like those were so much fun for me.
At one point, your goal was 13 mud runs in the year because it was 2013, right?
Yeah. The zip lining, yes, I did that. I did that in Texas, and I also did that here in Korea. The belly dancing, not yet, because I'm waiting, to have that good old plastic surgery. And the other one was the photo shoot. Well, you said that's like a weekly thing for me. I mean, I do kind of feel like it is. The spa treatment, yeah, I do treat myself to my spas. I do love them. Nice. Yeah, something I still stick to.
So I thought that was really cool that you made the list and things that, I mean, at that time you were still really big. And those were all kind of weight related things that you'd be held back because of your weight. You mentioned one after, and I don't remember how many months, 6 months, I think. 8 months? I don't know. You went to Six Flags down from where you live.
Right.
And I have lots of these experiences because when I bring the kids to Gyeongju World, they're like, you big size. And I'm like, just push it harder. It's going to go down. Just push that bar down. Or I'm on with my kids and the bar is at my waist, but I mean, it's up to their chin. And I'm like, my kid's going to fall out of here because I'm way too big for the Sea Dragon.
Right. I think the Six Flags was, it was a little more after a year. Yeah, it was like a year and a half at that point. And even then, like, I was still afraid to get on that ride because I'm like, oh my God, what if I don't fit? When you've had this mentality for so long of not being able to fit on rides, not being able to fit in booths, the movie chair seats being uncomfortable, when you have to think about, am I going to fit? Is it going to break? It takes a while for that mentality to kind of completely subside. So that entire time I'm like a ball full of nerves, like, oh my God, is it gonna fit? Is it gonna fit? Is it gonna fit? And the moment I got on that ride and it just went down smooth, I was like, yeah.
You said there's even room to spare.
Yeah, there was extra room.
Jackpot.
Exactly.
One of those moments I still have in Korea is when you're waiting at the busy elevator. And it's through 2/3 full, and you're like, shit, should I step on or not? Because half the time it goes beep, and you're like, fat Wagogan, get off. You're like, oh no. But the famous one is at Al's bar. Al's old bar used to go off all the time.
I've only been in his bar a couple of times.
No, but that when we'd go 5 or 6 guys, you just go, I'm taking the stairs because I don't need the buzzer going off. So still happens, and now I either make sure I'm in first, or if I'm close to the end, I'm just taking the stairs because it's not worth the buzzer.
Better option, anyways. Sorry, one question. After a year, you said you went to Six Flags after a year.
Year and a half.
Where are you in terms of weight after 1 year?
After being a year post-op?
Yeah, post-op.
I think after that year, I had lost close to 120 pounds after a year.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah, about 120
That's
pounds.
a person.
Yeah, that's a whole person.
That's a whole person just fell off. That's, I don't know, I can't even.
Yeah, because
it's hard for me to fathom.
My starting weight, and Like I still do like the pounds, but I had to write it all
That's
down
fine,
like
yeah.
in kilograms. My starting
Are you
weight.
doing conversions?
Yeah,
over
yeah. I was like, yeah, let me make sure I had this ready. But my starting weight before the day I had the surgery was 176 kilograms. That's 388 pounds, roughly. And I weighed myself this morning, and I'm at 149 pounds, which is 67.5 kilograms.
Whoa.
So
Wow,
that gives
gosh.
that gives me a total weight loss of 108 kilograms, so 239 pounds.
That's
That's a
incredible.
whole football player.
Or 2 Brians.
Right?
And Nate's left leg.
Stop, Nate.
Wild.
Yeah.
I for any of you guys that are listening, if you're on your own battles or whatever, if you want to check out her videos, they're awesome. And just to see the progressions going through. The 6-month one, as soon as I clicked on it, it was like, wow, she's a new person.
I saw that too.
At the 6th-month video, when it started, you were a different person. And I wrote down new woman, happy, vibrant.
Yeah.
And then you got into the details. And then I was like, wow, she got a boyfriend. That's why.
Well, I wouldn't say a boyfriend.
Or a new friendship.
A new friend. Yeah.
But it was so obvious to see in your face. And then you said, I got promoted at work. I started running. I met this guy. And I was like, holy shit. You can just totally see it. And it was like, wow, that must be a major turning point. Was it?
Yes, it was like I was physically seeing, my progression. And honestly, like when I started the YouTube videos, I was just doing it for myself, like my own type of therapy, just to keep a record of what I was achieving. Because I knew at that point, like, I'm going to make this stick. I'm going to make this work. And I want to be able to have things that I can go back to and reference. And yeah, it's like my attitude changed. I became more confident, seeing clothes that were basically falling off of me, and just really seeing like my inner beauty and just being more outspoken, and also noticing that people do treat you differently when you're smaller compared to
Absolutely.
when you're overweight.
Absolutely.
They treat you very differently.
Can you reference some experiences, or what are some of the things
There,
you've
there
seen?
are times like, when you're overweight, people don't take you seriously. They don't really take the time to get to know you. They just kind of overlook you. Overlook. They don't really, care too much for you. But when you're thin, and it even helps when you're pretty, they're more like really listening to you, leaning in, taking notice, taking you seriously, and just showing like genuine care. Like, I don't know just showing genuine care, because like you are, I guess, what you considered by society normal in a way.
Tell us about your. We got written down here, your PX90, your Insanity.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that 388 pounds. You're not going for 5K runs. How did you gently kind of ease your way into running or exercising?
Well, once I was cleared to start exercising.
How long after surgery?
That's what I was saying. What is the transition period from surgery to normal life?
For me, like, I had a complication. Like the day that I was released from the hospital.
The twisted intestine.
Yeah, my intestine had twisted. I had to go back to the hospital that evening, and had another surgery. I wasn't cleared until I had the surgery in October. I wasn't cleared until like April.
Really?
Wow.
April? Around March or April, roughly around there. Because I couldn't work the rest of the year. Like, I couldn't work the rest of the year.
How does it feel, like going in for the surgery, and you're like, all right, got my surgery, I'm ready to go, let's start this journey, and then it's like everything's on hold for another 8 months. Does that really crush your confidence?
Yeah, like for me, being in that hospital was a very grueling process, because for one, I don't like hospitals, and two, I don't like staying in
They
hospitals.
smell great.
And two, I don't like staying in hospitals for too long. I feel like people tend to get sicker when they're in hospitals for a lot longer. So it's like, can I just get out of here, please? I feel like I would feel a lot better if I could just go home and recover. But yeah, it was a very grueling process, but that when I finally got home and not working, and just really, it gave me a chance to really focus on how I'm supposed to eat, what things I'm supposed to eat, and just doing very light exercising, like just like walking around the neighborhood and things like that. That really helped me kind of build up my mental strength again, because I felt like when I had that complication and the doctor told me what was going on, I had to have surgery that evening. It was it was like a mind fuck.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what
absolutely.
the hell is going on? Like, you know? But yeah. And that was when I was finally cleared, you know, to have the surgery. To exercise. I had met someone, and she was a personal trainer, and she introduced me to the entire like P90X program and Shakeology, and those were things that I started to incorporate into my diet and into my exercise regimen. Like I started with P90X. And after like 30 days, I remember taking, like, I have pictures of a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day progression. And you can just see like how lean and how cut I was getting. And it was so shocking to me how easy it was for me to build up that muscle. Like when I work out, like my body like easily builds muscle now. And I love that. Like it doesn't take that long for my muscles to like pop out where you can just see them, you know?
Cool. And you guys don't have the opportunity to see right now, but we'll connect her YouTube channel and stuff. But man, she was ripped.
Yes.
And I was like, wow.
Addicted. I was addicted to it.
Because it was a challenge getting into that. And I mean, a lot of the times you mentioned, you know, I haven't worked out for 2 months. I haven't been to the gym. I didn't even go for a walk. Life kind of happens. And I got off my diet, and I did hit a stall. And then, man, something changed there, and you went buck wild for a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was more of like, for me, it's like once I started working out and I just became so involved in working, like it got to the point where I was working out 6 days a week, getting up at 4:30 in the morning to meet with my personal trainer by 5:15, working out, then going home, showering, getting ready for work, go to work, get off work, run a 5K or a 10K, then go work out again with my trainer. Like it was intense.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration then, or what had happened between the kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out training? And I mean, your weight was always going down, right? So it was kind of like you're seeing results, even if you weren't,
But faster, right?
even if you weren't training or whatever. I mean, you were still seeing the results. So maybe it didn't motivate you to, maybe I don't have to train so much because it's going down anyways. But what motivated you to get on that?
I fell in love with running, like falling in love with running, and running. I was running like 5Ks almost every day, and just having that feeling of just having that sense of a high. And I'm sure you understand that, like when you're done working out, like you just feel invincible.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's like okay, I'm ready for another challenge. Like how can I put my body under, you know, more stress and that kind of aspect. And that's where like it all started for me. It was just like being able, once I was able to run like my first 5K, it was just all uphill from there. Yeah.
Do you oh man, I'm severely addicted to running as well. I don't feel I can go through the day without doing some sort
Right.
of cardio in the morning. I don't feel
Right.
I don't feel right.
Right.
I'm still trying to find that point where you get addicted to running.
Oh yeah, trust me.
You gotta
I'm hoping it'll come sometime before my 50th.
No, it will. Because for me, it was like if I didn't run that morning or exercise that morning, my entire day was out of whack. I was not in a good mood.
I can't imagine.
I couldn't think right. It just wasn't a good day for me.
Oh man, yeah, running. It's so I hated it for years. I hated it for years.
When
And then
I was training for hockey, Dad used to follow me in the car. Like you said, you know, are you going to be part of the solution, or yeah, I'm going to drive the car around and honk if you're going too slow. I was
Thanks, Dad.
I was training for hockey, and it was intense, and I was playing at a high level of hockey.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got better stuff to do. He's like, no, I got to make sure you're running at the right speed, and you're going. And I was like, because he knows we'd run around the corner of the block, and then we'd walk for a bit. You'd be looking and start running. It just wasn't ever fun.
it's like Rocky 4.
And now.
And then Nate did sit ups with boulders and beat up some
goodness.
cows in the freezer.
I remember running around the track at the high school, and we'd be jogging, and if we saw that truck pull up, boom, you'd turn on the jets for a few laps until Dad thought it was okay. But now, like I said, running in Korea was kind of like a challenge before, like doing my half marathons 10 years ago and
You
stuff.
got me into 10Ks. I never even thought about doing it. Yeah.
And then now I see it as more like a meditation or like a calming, a relax. I don't see it as I'm running to lose weight or I'm running to exercise. I love exercise. I play hockey. I do lots of stuff.
Get in the zone.
But now it's like, wow, no kids, no wife, no people, just me and the park or whatever it is. And that's kind of like a release for me or a freedom for me. So now I just approach it a different way. And now I enjoy it more, but I'm not addicted to running.
And that
I miss it. I do. I really do miss it because it's like when I came to Korea, living on my own in a different country was very difficult for me at the very beginning. So like trying to find a gym that I was comfortable with and then being afraid because it's like you're a foreigner and you're a black woman in this gym. People are going to stare. And it's like, it kind of felt like I was 388 pounds again and walking into the gym for the first time. And, you know, there's like this stigma in the gym where it's like they're looking at you because you're so overweight and, you know, it's kind of like that. Like that's what I was feeling. So it kind of hit, like it kind of deterred me from going to the gym, but I still went out. Luckily I lived like at the time I was right next to Taewa, the lake and the trails. Right. And I would go out and still like get my runs in. But as far as like working out, that wasn't something that I did immediately until after a few years, like when I moved to Daeundong and I found like a small gym that had a personal trainer and it was very cheap. And then I got back into my working out again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it stopped becoming a priority for me because it's like I'm in this country. I'm here for an experience. I'm here to also save, but I also want to travel. And it's like, I want to kind of put that on hold because I felt at that time I had a good bearing on my nutrition and on my exercising and things like that. So it's like, I just want to travel and have a good time. Like I want to have fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
it's important not to, not to go, I think, too hard into it. I find with
off the deep end.
with running, when I would ramp up training for a 10K, I started hating running even more. Like, fuck, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do this. And I was putting, I think, undue stress on myself. But now when I just go in, do my regular morning run, and it's just, there's no pressure. I have to build up to this or to that.
Right.
And you can just enjoy it,
Yeah.
I have no idea about the skin thing, but you see it on some of the TV shows and stuff, and the follow-ups to The Biggest Loser and these kind of things. One thing I thought was interesting, you mentioned that your doctor said if you exercise, you're young enough that you might or you wouldn't need the excess skin surgery.
That was my first goal. When we talked about having you on, that was one of my first
And I
questions.
was shocked, and I thought, man, your goal was 168?
165.
165?
Yeah.
And I thought, man, if you lose 200 and something pounds, how is the skin that elastic that as long as you're exercising, really? Like, that's amazing
I
because
think he was overzealous making that statement, but yeah.
because I mean you not see it all the time or hear it all the time, but in terms of major weight losses, you always hear that's the last part of the thing. The kind of like I've done it, I've been here, and now I just want to do this so I can move on with my life.
Right, for it to come full circle, exactly.
And you had gone, and I think you said that it wasn't going to be covered by
Insurance.
So I guess you were exercising, you weren't, you were off and on, and you go, maybe I should keep doing it because that guy told me that. But in the end, you lost a pile of weight, and you tried to get it, or you went to get a consultation, and it wasn't going to be covered under insurance. And your goal then was to start saving money. You were going to scale back your spending. What's happened since those videos? I mean, in that regard, have you been able to do that? Have you saved enough for that?
Well, since I came to Korea, I can proudly say that I've saved enough to have my surgeries back
for
home.
you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I will say, like, when the doctor made that statement, because you're young, your skin is just going to snap right back. You might have a little bit of sagginess, but it won't be anything that you may want to cosmetically get, done.
Right.
But boy, was he wrong. Because I need to get a tummy tuck. I need to get a back lift, all these different things. And that is not cheap in the United States. But
Right.
I'm proud to say that I've saved the money, and it's happening next year.
It wouldn't be better to do it here?
I was going to say,
In
Korea is like the number one plastic surgery place in the world.
Okay, so I did my research. When it comes to the face, Korea is on point when it comes to the face,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the body, they don't necessarily shape the body, and they're not as aggressive with liposuction as I would like them to be compared to the United States and the DR. Because I did consider going to the DR, because it would have been a whole lot
Democratic
cheaper.
Republic of North Korea?
No,
DRMP? No, what's a DR?
the Dominican Republic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the DR. They call it the DR.
Okay.
Because the DR is known for, giving women like that hourglass shape, like
Oh,
what you
okay.
see on Instagram.
I was just gonna say
Yes,
that.
that's
Isn't
where
that
the
just
women.
a filter? That's a
No,
real
it's not.
That's a
No,
real
no,
filter.
their bodies actually look like that. They go to the DR, and the DR gives you the Brazilian butt lift. They give you the tummy tuck. They give you the breast
The
implant.
BBL.
Yeah, the BBL. Yeah, and they're more aggressive with the liposuction. You guys are like laughing. I'm so serious.
No,
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yes, no, and it's a whole lot cheaper. But I was gonna do that before COVID, but after COVID, when things are very uncertain, I just feel that and after talking with my family and another important person in my life, it's just best to get it done in the United States.
And now, if you have the money and the financial means, I mean,
Why not?
You got the comfort of home. It's probably a
Yeah.
lot more easy decision to do that.
Right, because if I was going to go to the DR, I would have to, because of COVID, I would have to go on my own and go through this whole recovery process on my own. Versus if we didn't have COVID, the initial plan was to have my mom come down and be with me like she was for my surgery when I had my weight loss surgery and help me out.
So this is a lot of years later. Is the price still around the same, or is it?
Oh,
a
it's
lot
more
different?
expensive.
Yeah.
It's more expensive now. Yeah.
Will you see that as kind of the final chapter or closing chapter of the old you?
Yes.
Or-
Yes, and that's why it's just so important for me to have this to have this plastic surgery before I reach 10 years, because I'm just ready for everything to come full circle, so I can say, okay, I can put this book away and just move forward with my life.
It's your
Yeah.
Odyssey, right?
Right,
It wasn't Odysseus was on the high seas for 10 years.
Right,
out,
right.
Out and back. Wow, wild. Do you find with you have a pretty regular exercise routine now?
I mean,
Is
I'm
It's
it
not-
on the back burner.
no, I wouldn't say it's on the back burner. I mean, I do typically like go out for my walks, but as far as like going for runs and going to the gym, that's not something I do anymore because before COVID I was doing that, but when COVID hit, it was like my social life completely stopped, and that was hard. Because I'm sure you guys have seen like my Instagram and my Facebook, like I was all over Korea. That was hard. And then not going to the gym, like that, it just, like being home, like it nearly drove me insane, to be honest. That first month, like at the end of April, that's when, the end of February, that's when everything really shut down in Ulsan. And that entire month of March, even up to my birthday, it was awful. I spent my birthday alone.
Oh no! When's your birthday?
March 22nd.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm the 20th. We gotta celebrate next time.
Okay.
Huh?
Well, I won't
The,
be here, but yeah.
We'll do a Zoom. A Zoom
Zoom.
call.
Okay.
Just for, eating habits and
Mm-hmm.
and exercise routine and whatnot. Do you find over the last decade that you're strengthening those those muscles? Like you don't. It's easy to talk about exercise where
Okay.
for running, when you first start, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, you're kind of callousing your mind. Like, this is pretty easy. Do you find that over now after 10 years, nothing can stop you? Or do you still worry, like, I could revert back to my...
Oh, I still have that worry in the back of my head, like, of gaining the weight, because I made a promise to myself I will never, ever put that weight back on. I'm never going back to who I used to be.
Yeah.
I'm never going back to
You
that,
got
to that girl.
one video that I thought was kind of cute or funny, and you're like, yeah, it was Christmas, and I had some of this, I had some of that, and I'm not weighing myself this week because you just can't take the fat girl out of me. I still got some of those thoughts going on in my head. And
She never leaves.
Yeah.
She's not going anywhere.
But it
it's
might
just
be
a matter
good.
of don't want to go back.
It might be
Right.
good to not ignore that voice in
I
the
don't.
back. Yeah.
I never do.
It's
And
good to recognize it.
Right, and because I developed such good habits after the surgery, and I took it very seriously, down to like food journaling, and when I even down to like logging my food on like MyFitnessPal and my plate, it got to the point where I was able to recognize like what foods could help me, what foods would hinder me, things like that. And now, like when it comes to my eating habits, it's like second nature. I know exactly what I need to eat. I know that if I decide to have, a cup of coffee or a latte or have something high in sugar, I know I'm going to pay the price for that. Because with weight loss surgery, for me, having something that's high in sugar, that is like your body can't process all that sugar. So you're going to experience things like dizziness, diarrhea. You're going to feel lightheaded and faint. So it's kind of like, do I really want to put myself through this?
yeah,
I am at
wanna do
home.
it? Am I at home to
This
do this? Yeah, those kinds of things. So
What are you
Yeah.
doing today? I'm gonna get high on a latte in my
Sugar
house.
high.
So you
Right.
mentioned one of the things in there was you took a sip of your mom's Coke
Mm-hmm.
and you had a major problem
That
and you had to go back onto liquids
Oh,
for 3 or 4 days. And
Gosh.
then soft foods. And I was like, one sip of Coke and you have to like go on liquids for 3 or 4 days and then soft foods and then back to...
It's like the setback is real.
What? How did that work? What happened? How did you like?
Okay, so I had a sip of my mom's
It
Coke.
seems extreme.
No, I had a sip of my mom's Coke, and it's just in that moment, it just felt like my stomach was just like tightening up. It just, I don't know, it just felt like someone had like my stomach in their fist and they were just tightening it up, and it was just so irritated. Like, and they usually call like your new stomach your pouch, so my pouch was just so irritated that I literally had to start off with like soft foods or liquids and then transition to soft foods. And for me, every time when and even to this day, like if I eat something and it irritates my stomach, I'll take, a day to do like all liquids, which is like my protein shakes. Because for a bariatric patient, your protein is something that's very important. Like you need to have high amounts of protein. So I would do like protein shakes, protein smoothies, things along those lines. Yeah. And then like slowly like introduce like eggs and soups and until I felt like my stomach was okay. Yeah.
True or false? If you've been through the Weight Watchers and the Jenny Craig and whatnot, you gotta throw a curveball here. I heard if you eat a banana, if you just eat a regular banana, that's no points. I don't know which one the points is, but if you blend a banana, that's like 10 points, and like you're screwed for sugar for the rest of the day.
I have no idea how.
You never heard that one?
I never heard that one. Quite honestly, like after my second attempt of Weight Watchers, let me just tell you, like I talk about that in my next video. Again, that you guys will see on Saturday. But after that second attempt with Weight Watchers, I was done. I was like, I'm done with this whole Weight Watchers thing. I'm not giving them any more of my money.
Do they don't prepare meals for you, right? It's just
They actually have them where you could buy like their pre-made meals, and you can buy them at the meetings that they have them. They're like their bars and stuff like that.
huh.
So I wanted to ask about. I mean, it seemed like, what do they tell you when you get the surgery, that as long as you just eat how they tell you, you're going to lose X amount of weight, or this is possible, or that is possible?
They tell you it's possible to lose. They typically what they say is, your first year you'll lose, within 6 months to a year, you'll lose 100 pounds or more.
Doing just nothing, just following, eating
Just
what you're supposed to eat.
just following the eating guidelines. Yes.
Because my question was about mental vs physical challenges, that the physical one is just part of it. And I mean, there must be a ton of mental blocks, barriers, obstacles to go over. But it's not just those, that you also had to work really, really hard. And it wasn't just, it's just going to melt off and just hang out and wait 18 months and you're going to be skinny.
I mean, there's hard work that goes into it as well. And there's habits that need to be changed. And I think many times, the reason why you see some people that end up, gaining the weight back, even after having bariatric surgery, is because those habits haven't changed. They didn't make that conscious effort to change their habits, or to even recognize their relationship with food, or even understand if they have a food addiction or not.
So that's, I mean, is this like magic, or how?
It's not
how
magic.
Tough? Because you said that when they shrink your stomach size, and then you said for a while you weren't even hungry. You had to teach yourself to eat because you weren't even hungry. Yeah. And I thought, well, then what happened to all your potato chips and cravings, and you just don't want any of that stuff
That was
anymore,
head hunger. That was head hunger, yeah. But physically, I wasn't hungry. But I mean, I had moments where it's like, I see those chips and I'm like, I want.
At those low moments, or those very trying moments, what do you have any mechanisms that helped you get through?
Going to my meetings, I will say going to my meetings and actually hearing other people's stories, like when they would eat something that was way too soon. I remember there was a meeting I went to, and there was a young man that he was there every single meeting and he wasn't there. And I said, well, where is he? Like, what happened to him? And
Had a sip of Coke.
No, come to find out, like, he got a Big Mac and put it in a blender and was drinking. It's not funny. It's not funny. This is serious. He really wanted a Big Mac, and he put it in a blender and liquefied it.
Because he can't.
Because he could.
It wouldn't fit in his.
Right, because I mean,
Wouldn't finish
that. Can't process it.
right, he was still in like the liquid soft food phase.
Oh,
like,
come on.
how are you gonna sit here and eat a Big Mac? Like, you can't. So he figured, okay, well, I'll just put a Big Mac, and this just goes to show like how
Clever.
serious food addiction is, like how serious that this issue is. He put it in a blender and liquefied it, and of course it was still kind of chunky, but he drank it, and it ended up putting him back in the hospital.
No doubt.
It ended up putting him back in the hospital, and hearing stories like that, it's like I don't ever want to put myself in that kind of situation because I had a complication, and the last thing I want to do is go back to the hospital.
Yeah. So maybe that was a blessing in disguise. The twisted. Well, not. Yeah. Maybe you wouldn't wish it on
I
me
just
again.
thought
but,
I was gonna die.
No doubt.
So for people who are thinking about this or contemplate it, what do you think is the ratio of mental to physical?
I think it's all mental. Like I honestly think it's all mental, and as I
With
said,
any addiction. Right?
yeah, right.
Your body will adapt. Pretty
But I mean, if you
quick.
didn't go through all the exercise and become addicted to running and your P90 and all that stuff, you might be a little bit heavier, but you'd be completely fine because you got the mental part of it taken care of.
Possibly. I think what it comes down to, if you're deciding to get bariatric surgery, and I do have a video that says, like, are you mentally prepared for that? And I talk about specifically, what you need, like how you need to prepare yourself. Recognizing, like I said, those, recognizing if you have food addiction, recognizing your relationship with food. Like, are you eating because you're an emotional eater, or are you eating because of stress, things along those lines. Having a strong circle of support, making sure that the people that you have in your life truly understand this surgery and they're going to support you and they're in it for the long haul. And there's other things that I talk about as well, but you got to watch the video to find out.
Yeah. Have you had any, we call them like Hollywood moments, where you're sitting there, you're looking at the ice cream, like, I don't want to do it, and you're ready to go into it? But no, and that's, I want to know the question I was kind of asking before was, when I quit smoking, if I felt like a smoke, I'd be like, I'll just have a glass of water, or put on my shoes and just go for a run, because that's the last thing you want to do after smoking, or after running is have a smoke. Was there any really trying moments for you? Well, like I said, it's kind of a Hollywood moment, but you're looking at the ice cream like, oh, should I do? And how do you overcome that? Is it like just pound a glass of water, or
When I was
run out of my house? Or?
No, when I was, before I left for Korea, I was back in Texas, and I had, I think it was Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving the year after my surgery. No, 2 years after. No, it was a year after my surgery. That first Thanksgiving dinner, seeing all that glorious food.
Yeah.
The turkey, the
Stuffing.
ham, the dressing, the collard greens, the mac and cheese, the sweet potato pie. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that was hard.
No
That
doubt.
was very hard. But I was prepared because I always had like my small little like plates that I carried around with me. Like, I had my tool, like I had my plate, and whatever I could fit on that plate in small portions, that's what I would eat, and I would take my time with it. If I wanted more, I would have to always remind myself, you don't want to go back to the hospital. You don't want to go back to the hospital. That was like my mantra.
Yeah.
And because I completely abhor hospitals. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's good. It's good that you have those kind of stops in place,
Yeah.
or that mental mantra that you
Yeah.
that you go back to. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So take us a couple of years of this at home. Were you in a fairly good routine? I mean, maybe you say you weren't mentally engaged at home or whatever, so you decided to come to Korea. But were you? I mean, physically, you figured this
I had
out.
my routine,
You know
yeah.
how to do it. So, I mean, man, Texas to Ulsan, that's a big change.
Yeah, I needed to completely separate myself from everything and everyone in Texas, and just be on my own, and be on my own 2 feet, and do this.
Do you find, or you mentioned earlier that the inner circle is very important? When you decided to move to Ulsan, did you realize that in the end, it's your circle can support you, but it's you.
It's you.
It's you.
It's
that
absolutely
needs it, yeah.
you. Exactly. Yeah.
Coming here, did you have a lot of concerns about
Oh yes.
the food and if you had to go back to the hospital and
Trying to explain like the surgery I had done.
you're
Of
not
course.
moving to Portugal or Italy or somewhere. I mean, right? I mean, or even South America. I mean, this is Asia, and it's
Right.
way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So how did that play into your?
That was definitely a concern of mine. Like, how was I going to get my multivitamins? Because I take a lot of pills a day. I take 3 calcium tablets. I take 2 iron tablets. I take a B12. I take 2 multivitamins. I take biotin. I take collagen. You know, I take all these different things that I'm going to have to take for the rest of my life. So it's like, how am I going to, you know, get these specific specific vitamins that I needed for bariatric patients, because it's very high, it's high in potency, and it's easy for absorption, because they don't have that here in Korea.
I was gonna say, you're coming to a country with 0 bariatric.
It's not here. So it was literally like, you know, and I was like, how am I going to get like my favorite, you know, protein that I love, which is muscle milk and Quest? Like, how was I going to get that? So it got to the point where my mom was sending me packages like every 2 to 3 months that was specifically like my protein and my multivitamins, until I found Bariatric Pal, and they do international shipping, thank goodness. But the shipping is like $45, but it's worth it. I mean, I just consider it as a bill, because for me, like, my vitamins are a monthly bill, and it's not something I'm gonna stop taking. I'm not gonna give it up.
Yeah.
And that was part of becoming independent and being on your own.
Yeah.
Mom doesn't have to send them now. You figured it out.
Yeah, I did.
And I think for us, like, and I'm not.
And Coupang made it, you know, has Quest and muscle milk online, where it can
Deadly.
get here in like a week, you know, which is the best part.
Rocket
So,
Tech
yeah.
Bay, you'll have it by the time the podcast is over.
We laugh lots about the old days, and I mean, it was only 6 years ago. When did Costco come to Ulsan? 5 years?
It was here when I got here in 2014.
Okay, well, that must have been it then. We used to go to Busan and Daegu to buy cheese.
Wow.
And I mean, yours is essential for your life, but I mean, I'm not saying that cheese was essential for us, but it was something that, man,
A simple thing that back home is just
a staple you could get anywhere.
Yeah.
And now the people who come now think, wow, you can go to Costco and get. It wasn't like that. We used to go to Busan and Daegu just to get, you know, cheese and a couple other things that would make a big difference in our lives, that we could actually cook a lot of the food we know.
appreciate the small things. Living here makes
So you figure it out, right? The longer you stay, the easier it gets, and the more you figure it out.
Yeah, I had to grow up, and I grew up in living here. I grew up.
Me too.
I grew up.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
Going out on I was pretty not sheltered back home, but it wasn't so hard.
No, I was sheltered.
To live. It wasn't so hard to live, but you come out here, you learn quick, and I think it's maybe for the Korean kids getting sent off to the army or in
University,
right?
Yeah, I think that's an important coming of age thing that everyone should participate in.
How long did it take you to figure out Korea and become the weekend warrior, where you're at events and festivals like a Hollywood star all over Korea every weekend? I wrote down here fashion and style and living life, always doing something, always going somewhere.
KTX Super Pass.
I assume a lot of that comes from your past of being restricted by your weight, that you couldn't express yourself and do all these things and go all these places.
Right.
But how long did it take you to figure this stuff out? Like a new hair color every 3 days, and running with the stars in Seoul and the Busan Film Festival, man.
Well, I mean, it took about a year living here, a year and a half, to fully like be comfortable in figuring out where I needed to go, and then making those friends and making friends in the military and going to all the different, events and parties and stuff and clubs. And like my first club experience was here in Korea at 27 years old, and I didn't have my first drink until I was 30 on my 30th birthday.
Wow.
You didn't drink alcohol?
I didn't drink at all.
No,
I didn't drink at all. But now I do love my tequila. But oh, good old Jose never lets you down, But I didn't have my first drink until my 30th birthday, and that was in Pyeongtaek on the military bases. So yeah.
That's awesome.
I remember meeting a few of the African American women that came with the first intake of Epic, and their biggest problem was, where can I get my hair done?
Oh yeah,
and there was nowhere, and it would be guys like me and Gareth who'd been here for years and say, listen, I don't have to get my hair done, but I know there's 2 or 3 places in Seoul, and every girl goes to those places. Gets the only place. I saw your
comments on Ulsan.
Because that's the only place you can get it done, and everybody knows that. Like, even all the other people know that the African American girls got to do their hair, and this is where you go to get it done. Yeah,
healthcare. And I will say, like, when I first came here, before I came here, that was one of the first things I looked up. before I got on that plane, who can I go to do my hair? And I found a woman in Seoul. So I would go to Seoul like every couple of months to get my hair done, to get like, extensions and things like that. Until I, decided, because my hair, I still have issues with my hair because of like my thyroid issues and things like that. And also just with the weight loss, if I don't get enough protein and if I'm inconsistent with taking my multivitamins, my hair will fall out. So it got to the point
Is that my
where...
problem? Is it a lack of protein?
Yeah, it really is for a bariatric patient.
Okay.
I don't know for someone like you, but that could just be hereditary. But I don't know. But yeah, like I decided I'm just gonna shave my head. Like I'm over it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about this because there are things that you can have done, like getting wigs made, and I pay a lot of money for my wigs. I love to change up my looks. I'm team wig all the way. But my head is shaved. Like I
had
care
no
about
idea.
that. Yeah, my head's shaved. I have pictures. I can show you.
Oh, very.
Well, listen, when I was in West Africa, this thing blew my mind. When I travel in Japan,
a wig? That's a wig?
This is a wig, yes.
when I travel,
That's real hair, man.
It
That's
is.
unreal.
It's not cheap.
you didn't notice it was a rainbow 3 days ago, and 2 days before that it was purple.
I didn't know if... No, I
No
don't know when that-
person's hair could take that much damage.
No kidding.
Well, I saw like the curly or like the wavy.
Yeah, I
the
have wavy,
puffy
I
hair.
have kinky curly, I have straight, I have...
She does it for like 6
Beach
hours
waves.
every morning before work.
Yeah, I wouldn't say all that, but yeah, I change my looks up all the time. It's all wigs. Every single
This
picture.
is a stupid question. How does it stick on your head?
There's
Do you gotta glue it?
Just make
No,
sure
I
they
saw
come
that- I
off
saw
in the
that
middle.
Facebook.
The term we say is secure the wig, bruh.
Secure the wig?
Yeah, secure the wig.
Well, I saw on Facebook. You get like the dude who's got the toilet seat, and then the barber like draws the line, then he paints his head with some glue and then sticks it on.
Toilet seat.
The George Costanza.
No, but the way the wigs work, you can either get them glueless or you can get them glued.
Oh.
And all of my wigs are glueless because I just want to be able to take it off when I come home. So I
Okay.
literally just take it off and put it on. And there's a band
Yeah.
that's, on the wig, and there's also combs where you can like hook into your, your
Okay.
hair.
Any of your students? I mean, the students are touchy feely. They love my arm hair and my beard.
Oh,
and,
they don't touch my hair.
And they're like, "Oh, teacher, do they ever?"
No, they're just like
Never had
no,
any
my,
accidents?
No, my wig is always secured. It's always secured. Like, they can like
Because
pull
that
on
would
it.
that would
Yeah.
send them through the roof.
No.
Mom,
Teacher. No, my wig is always secured, and they just like just put their fingers through, and that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
they,
Oh, that's.
it's
I had
not
no
a big deal.
idea.
Yeah, it's,
What about the part in your head?
it's a closure, and what they do is they bleach the closure to make it look more like your natural scalp, and then they pluck it to make it look like a natural hairline. But it's literally like it's just a closure.
My like game I play in Korea all the time when I go around. I'm convinced like 80% of the guys here are bald. And they all have wigs. And every time I'm walking around, if I see a guy with like salt and pepper hair underneath and it's all black on top, I'm like, you son of a bitch. You got I see that growing in.
Listen, when I used to go to Japan, and we used to go a lot, the girls there would eat ramyeon and live in a shoebox just so they could have their bags, just so they could give that image that they were high end. They would eat the cheapest food and stay in the cheapest place just to project that image of, but I got my Louis Vuitton, I got my Gucci, I got my Prada, and
But
it
isn't
wasn't.
that how a lot of people are living? Well,
Yeah, okay. But when I went to West Africa,
That's Gangnam Style. That's
Yeah.
the whole.
it
That's
was
the whole.
it was anything to save your money to get your hair done. And I just thought it was, and then started thinking like, where I'm from in Manitoba, it's your lawn, how green and how weedless your lawn is, and in Toronto it's your car.
No,
And-
Niagara Falls, it's your lawn. Gino had the greenest lawn you ever seen.
But it just made me think and reflect on how everywhere you go, like, even if you think here it's my bag, but if you bring your bag to Manitoba, nobody gives a shit. It's
they're
your
just
tractor.
like, what is this? Right.
And if you bring it to Niagara Falls, it's your grass. So throw your bag out and get some Weed X on your lawn.
Yeah.
But in West Africa, I mean, making your hair was by far the most important thing for women to do.
Yeah, getting your hair done.
Was to
Yeah.
make sure that it was done. And if you got caught in between with your shaved head, they know you didn't sell enough plantain this week or whatever, and you didn't have enough to get your hair done.
Right.
But I didn't know that, because all the girls are shaved because they don't want to have lice, and it's it's part of their school uniform, at least in Ghana and most of West Africa.
Yeah.
But I never thought that, because you don't see that growing up, but they're some of the most beautiful, beautiful people I've ever seen. Is these young girls with shaved heads, and then as soon as they get to like after they graduate high school, boom! Now it's all these glamour dues and everything.
Luxurious.
But yeah, I think it's awesome to see, and it really reminds me of being there and going, wow, you look like a supermodel today. And yesterday you had a shaved head, and then next week you got something else. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
How do you
People ask me all the time why I don't have a wig, and I just go,
You don't need one.
I know, yeah. It's so, I don't know.
What are some of the highlights of you've established this life and this new life or this weight, and you can be involved in you have a social life. What are some of the highlights going around Korea and seeing and doing so many things?
Well, used to having a social life. Like COVID shut that down
Correct.
real quick.
Correct.
For me, it was like paragliding, zip lining, bungee jumping. Oh, that was an amazing experience.
Skydiving
Oh, I haven't done the skydiving
at
yet.
home? No.
The skydiving at home?
One of your last videos was I'm going skydiving with
Oh,
my
I
buddy.
didn't do that.
Oh, you
No,
didn't?
I
I was
didn't
like,
do that. No.
oh, she's wild.
No, I didn't do that yet.
Oh, okay.
No. Dating, actually, I didn't start dating until I got here. Like, I wasn't really, dating back in the States. I really wasn't doing that. Meeting different types of people, traveling to different countries on my own, learning how to do things on my own, really. Those are, my real highlights, and just embracing the world around me. Yeah.
How does it feel being in a club for the first time? Just looking around, thinking like, man, no one knows I used to be, close to 400 pounds. Is it inside? You're like, fuck yeah, no one knows. No one's even noticing this. Is
Right.
great.
It's like
How pumped?
Yeah. I don't even really think about that. Until I actually sit down with someone one-on-one, and then we talk about our different lives, and then I share it with them, and I show them pictures, and they can't believe, wow, I would have never guessed that was you, But it was just more of oh my God, I can't believe I'm in a club.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what is my mom gonna say?
Yeah. That's
those things, things like that. It's
you get those moments of reality
Yeah.
where you're like, holy shit, I'm on a roller coaster. I didn't even think about
Right.
being able to fit in.
Right.
or
I'm
not,
like,
yeah.
is this adulting? I kind of like it here.